He drank poison willingly. Another wrote a book that started revolutions. One reshaped the East, one reshaped the West, and one dared to fight for women when women had no voice. These weren't warriors. They didn't build empires with swords or conquer lands with armies. They conquered minds. These are the revolutionary minds. Thinkers so powerful, their ideas rippled across centuries, tearing down systems, rebuilding civilizations, and leaving behind legacies that still shape our world today. And the most shocking part? One of them predicted he'd be forgotten. He was wrong. Athens, 399 BCE. A frail man with a hooked nose and wild eyes stands trial. His crime? Corrupting the youth and impiety. His name is Socrates. But Socrates didn't write books. He didn't lead protests or declare himself a sage. What he did was ask questions, and it terrified the powerful. They called it the Socratic method. You answer a question. He asks why. You answer again. Another why. Again and again, until your argument collapses under its own weight or reveals a hidden truth. He challenged the gods. He questioned justice. He asked if democracy could really work. And worst of all, he taught others to do the same. So Athens silenced him. He was given hemlock, poison. As he drank it calmly, surrounded by weeping students, he uttered his final words. Crito. We owe a cock to Asclepius. See to it, and don't forget. To some, it was nonsense. To others, a coded message that death is a cure, not a punishment. Today, every law student, philosopher, and teacher owes a debt to the man who proved that truth doesn't need to be told. It needs to be found. Fast forward 2,000 years to 1848. A man sits hunched over a desk in a dim apartment in London, ink staining his fingers, eyes burning with rage and vision. His name? Karl Marx. He wrote with fury. Not fiction, not fantasy, but an idea. One idea that would spread across borders like wildfire. The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles. The Communist Manifesto wasn't just a pamphlet, it was a blueprint for revolution. Workers rising against the rich, property shared, class abolished, a world remade. It was banned, burned, and buried, but it survived. And in the 20th century, countries didn't just read Marx, they lived him. Russia, China, Cuba. Revolutions exploded in his name. Some built new societies, others ended in ruin. But love him or hate him, one thing is undeniable. Karl Marx didn't just change the rules, he flipped the board. We travel now to ancient China, not to an emperor or general, but to a teacher. His name was Confucius, but history knows him as Confucius. He never claimed to be divine. He didn't speak of gods or an afterlife. He spoke of something harder, how to live, right now. Confucius taught that harmony begins with self-discipline, that society isn't built by laws but by relationships. Father to son, ruler to subject, friend to friend. Respect, duty, loyalty. To some, it was rigid. To others, salvation. Confucianism became more than a philosophy. It became the backbone of Chinese civilization. For over 2,000 years, emperors governed by it. Scholars memorized it. Children were raised in its values. And when China faced chaos, it was Confucius they returned to. The West had Socrates. The East had Confucius. One asked, "What is truth?" The other asked, "How should we live?" Both still ask us every day. Now imagine 1792 England. A woman publishes a book, bold, unapologetic, furious. Its title? A Vindication of the Rights of Woman. Its author? Mary Wollstonecraft. She was a single mother, a radical thinker, a woman who had no right to vote, own property, or even speak publicly without scorn. And yet, she wrote, "I do not wish them women to have power over men, but over themselves." She demanded education for women. equality, independence, not in a whisper, but in a roar. She was mocked, ridiculed, even called unwomanly. But her words struck a chord that echoed for centuries. She didn't live to see the suffrage movement. She didn't know that her daughter, Mary Shelley, would write Frankenstein and carry on her legacy. But she lit the fuse, and every protest, every law, every victory that came after carried the spark of Mary Wollstonecraft. Florence, the Renaissance, a city of art, beauty, and brutal politics. Niccolò Machiavelli was a diplomat turned exile, betrayed by his city, beaten, humiliated. He retreated to his farm and began to write. What he wrote became one of the most feared and misunderstood books in history, The Prince. In it, he declared, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Machiavelli didn't tell rulers to be evil. He told the truth, that power is ruthless, that leaders often must choose between morality and survival, that virtue and politics don't always mix. His name became a curse. Machiavellian, meaning scheming, cunning. But the truth? He wasn't teaching tyranny. He was exposing it. He held up a mirror to kings, and they didn't like what they saw. Socrates was executed. Marx died in poverty. Confucius was ignored in his lifetime. Wollstonecraft was mocked. Machiavelli was feared. But centuries later, they endure. Because while swords rust and kingdoms fall, ideas are immortal. This was episode 1 of Revolutionary Minds. If you found yourself questioning the world just a little more after this video, then we've done our job. Like the video if it made you think. Subscribe to join us for the next mind that changed the world. And remember, you don't need an army to start a revolution, just an idea.